Welcome everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk Borovets Live.
Evening.
You've got your hosts here, myself, Leo, and Mo. Mo is down there, I think. I don't know. I think it's about there, Mo. Where are you? Where you look, Mo? That looks a familiar view.
It is. That's the reeler behind me.
What's that stuff coming from the sky?
That white stuff.
That white stuff. That's what we all want to know.
I'm not sure. Not seen it for ages. Do you know what? It's snow, and it started at midnight, and it hasn't stopped since. I was trudging over here in 3 foot of snow in some places. Honestly, it's just the best I've ever seen it.
So let me introduce you to our guest for today. First of all, we've got Steve. Steve, if you could say hello.
Hello, good evening. How you doing?
And then we've got Glyn, another guest, a snowboarder.
Oh,
hey guys, how's it going?
Steve,
Yeah.
do you want to give the very, very massive amount of listeners a little bit of background about yourself?
Sure. I was released from prison last year. No, I'm joking. No, I'm a skier. As much as you hate it, I'm a skier, not a snowboarder. I've been skiing about 30 years or thereabouts. Borovets is a big love of mine. Been to Borovets hundreds of times. I'm back again a week on Saturday in Borovets to where most are now next Saturday. Literally just come back from I was there last week, so my legs are still a little achy from the week. I'm a big skier. I also host Jack Reviews, which is like a YouTube channel for reviewing skis. The two skis you can see behind me. I took to Banska last week, did reviews of those. If you're in the market for some skis, have a check of the review on there. So I review all sorts of skis. It's all just a hobby. It's just a bit of part-time that I do when, to be fair, Leo.
Brilliant. Thank you. Mo, maybe you could do the same for Glyn.
Glyn, that side. How you doing, mate?
Yeah.
He's one of my avid followers on Facebook, and Glyn, come on, tell us a little bit about yourself. What you done?
Well, me.
We know you've been busy today with work and everything like that. So,
so I've been in prison today, so it's not just today. I did escape. Hopefully, there was no tails on me or anything, so I should be okay for the show. I snowboard occasionally. I do have a drink occasionally when I'm over in the vets. I do like it. It's a good place to be. I've been, I think, about 8 times now. And I shall probably continue to do so. Any more?
In the vet, is that how the call is?
I think you've given a great detail of what you're doing and where you're going. So as he's out there and he can tell us firsthand, tell us about what's been happening for you today, Mo, where you are.
Well, it's been quite an incredible week. Now, I've got to say this. I mean, it hadn't snowed for a couple of weeks when I got here, and the slopes have been in pretty good condition, although a little bit slushy in places. But we were watching the weather app last night, and I was on top of Musala yesterday, and I could see the front coming in because I used to live by the sea, so I'm quite used to weather fronts and how they work and watching the cloud formations. And then it just started. The temperature dropped last night, and the snow came. So grabbed my skis, went out today. First bit, and Steve bear me out on this, first bit, you're looking at probably about 100 mil or 10 centimetres of snow on top of what is now ice. So that made it difficult going. The new snow made it a bit sticky. And then you've got the ice underneath, so you're sliding around all over the place. You certainly know when there's a snowboarder behind you because you can hear that coming in behind you. So I left it for a few hours, more snow came down, and now I think we've had well over 300 mil or 30 centimetres of snow. Went out, absolutely fantastic. It's like I've never really skied proper powder, and you know, it's deep now, but it wasn't this afternoon, and it was brilliant. The slopes were absolutely packed. Everybody's having a good time, falling A over T everywhere. We kept popping into the OTP bar and having a few beers and coming out again. So it's been absolutely fantastic. Conditions are great. Everyone's really got massive smiles on their faces at the moment.
Sorry.
Was you weren't paying attention, were you?
No, I wasn't. So So you've had a great time skiing. You've been out on powder. Steve, as our skiing expert here, talk to us about powder on skis.
Powder, potentially change the skis mode, depending what sort of ski you're skiing on. Powder skis are very different to these skis, which are very different to racing. So you want them slightly more floaty skis if you're playing in the powder, and more your knees to get yourself up and around. It's not
Probably not the powder you're used to, Steve. We're probably talking about a couple of 100 mils of the stuff.
But if you're on really thick skis behind me, if you tried to tackle powder in those, you'd have no chance. In my other little skis, all mountain skis are longer, wider, so they give you more float. So if you're on powder, you have a bigger surface area and just sink right through. You don't cut through the butter. So
Yeah,
equipment
which
is
probably made it why it was slow going for me.
Yeah, and there is a slightly different technique to it as well. You can't just you're just ploughing through the snow effect, which doesn't necessarily work. But no one complains when they're about it. It's lovely.
I mean, powder to snowboarders is a very different experience. I mean, you know, Glyn, did you ever surf before you did snowboarding?
No, I didn't actually, Leo. It was just straight to snowboarding. I was asked if I wanted to go skiing, and I said no. I'll go to a snowy holiday, but I prefer just to go straight to snowboarding. So I do not know what it's like to ski at all. I keep saying I'm going to go and try it, but no, I'll stick to the board. I'm going to stick that way. I'm too old to learn new tricks, I reckon. But with powder on snow, when it's deep, fresh powder, it's just absolutely phenomenal. It's like surf the earth, dude. It's absolutely brilliant. You've got to lift your front foot, step on your back foot, lean back a little bit, and just go with the flow.
I absolutely agree. I did Marmaduke number 3 this year in powder, and it is just, you come off with such a smile on your face going up there. It's beautiful. A couple of people are saying, Steve, that the sound, I don't know where your mic is. It's difficult to hear you on your mic. So I don't know where your mic is on what you've got, but a few people have made that comment. Right. So,
and just on that one, Leo,
yep.
I can't hear Glyn at all.
What you mean? Because he's not speaking English.
Not a bad thing, Glyn.
He's a snowboarder. It doesn't
matter. Yes, we know where this conversation is going, which is great.
Love it. Love it.
So it's no. Going up snowboard. So the places I found with powder that I really liked there was Marmaduke number 3, Fon Fon. Steve, have you done Fon Fon much?
I have. I'm not a fan of that, but if I'm going to ski Borovets, I just like the Astronauts over. I like the team nets and the one in the middle. Is that the Pampalovo in the middle?
Yeah.
I like those. I'm not such a big fan of the drag lift on the top. One of those drag lifts is almost like torture, isn't it? One that just kills you going up. So
they call that the killer.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd rather Borovets. I'm with my girlfriend who's watching. So we do the Yastrobets. She likes to sit in the bin of the Yastrobets. We do away yesterday, club sandwich or whatever it was, there and do a thing, and I can around.
I know exactly what you mean. That's an interesting question on there. You've already covered there, Steve. So your favourite runs that you prefer to do are Yastrobets. I assume that's number 3 and number 1. Are you a number 1 fan as well?
Number 1 is okay if you go all the way to the bottom. You can just help it down. Much quicker route down. But the number 3, one more we just say, Pampalovo, is it the one that's quite a nice one. So the one, as you go down, splits left. It's Pampalovo.
Popolangelo.
That's the one.
Yeah. We're really struggling. We're really struggling to hear you, Steve. I don't know what the thing is on your side. It's like there's a feedback. And have you got it running two echoes or something?
I'm doing a Mick Miller on a Steve.
I'm struggling to stand up because I'm on a sheet of ice.
I'm not technical. It's open. Can you hear me?
I don't know what it's like. You've got something, or you've. It may be. Can I suggest, Steve, just go out and come back in again, see if it connects, and we'll carry on. and come back if you try and disconnect.
Don't leave me alone with two borders, Steve.
Back in a moment.
The dark side is calling you, Mo.
This is it. This is it. Right, that's it. Look, here you go.
We got rid of him.
Right, Glyn, we've got him. We've got him between us. This is it. Time to time to that's it. Time
To
to.
the dark side.
Dear.
Okay, while Steve's not here, and we carry on, I was just wondering about some of the questions that we normally get. I'm looking for some questions. Anybody who's got questions, please put them up. We've already talked about the various different things of just the weather out there. Just to show that in the real world, I'm going to just bring this up so you can see. A lot of people will complain about this site because it's not, is it real? Isn't it real? But when it's this close to going live, be the day, and it's saying 26 centimeters of snow at the bottom, 26 centimeters of snow. Mo, do you feel that's what's happening?
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely 26 centimeters of snow or more at the bottom. Where I'm stood now, it's up to my jeans and, halfway up my calf. So, yeah, no, it's deep.
Okay. Steve, you're back. Can we hear you now?
I'm back. I'm on my mobile this time. Is that any better?
That's a loads better, Steve.
Yeah, a bit better. Yeah. If you want to flip it through 90 degrees, it may look better, but that's fine. So we just talked about that's it, perfect. Look at that. We've just gone through and talked about the fact that it's 26 centimeters of snow due. If you look at the longer term of that, for those that use this site, if you want to know where these sites come from, I get these sites from Pete's webcam page. So that's the URL of that, Pete's webcam page. And on here, we're looking at the long-term forecasts and the area coming through. So we've looked at this before, but I'll just go through these. You'll see the snow coming in. White is the snow, comes down, and then you've got the purple is the snow on the ground, and when it's snowing, it's coming white. And we've got another run of snow, not until next Thursday. That looks like this next run of snow, and the snow depth is coming in there. As you can see, it's saying it's about 84 centimeters of snow it's due in. So, anybody who's going out there over half term, you've got a great amount of snow looking forward to.
That's me.
Is that you? Are you going out half term?
Yeah, my girlfriend is a teacher, so when we ski together, we're restricted to school holidays, unfortunately. So I do manage to sneak off for the odd sneaky one without her, but don't tell her.
Right. Okay.
So we're back for half term.
So you were away a couple of weeks ago, or you've just come back from Bulgaria. Where were you?
Yeah, I got back late Sunday night. Sunday just gone. I was in Bansko for a week, which was
Cracking videos, Steve.
Thank you, most. I learned everything from you.
I can't make videos like that.
It was just a bit of fun, but I saw Bansko in a very different light. As you may know, I went over for a couple of days at Christmas when I was in Borovets with Victoria at Christmas. Because of the lack of snow, we jumped ship and went to Bansko for a couple of days. But although the snow was better, it wasn't really that great in Bansko either. So we thought we'd give it another crack. And actually, it was fantastic last week. It was superb, really good.
So what's your what if you can sum it up? Or you could sum it up by showing a video. What would you say the difference between the two is?
Funny you should say that, Leo. I can sum it up by video because I've spent most of today recording. I've had several people on my Facebook page and the Impartial Borovets page asking if I could do a comparison between the two. So I spent most of today recording one, which will go onto my Ski Shack reviews page on YouTube and Facebook a little bit later on this evening. But in terms of the two reviews, the two resorts, the way I would sum it up is it depends on your standard of skiing. If you're a beginner, if you're new to skiing and you're with family and friends who maybe aren't skiing, who are just there socializing, Borovets is definitely better. It's smaller, it's cozier. For example, a couple of years ago, my parents came out and they didn't ski. They just came out, they're in their 70s. So they could sit in the Golden Horn, but then they could walk back to the Rilla to get their book within 20 seconds. So it's all close, it's nice. My nephew, who was 6, was skiing up and down and he could see his grandparents every 5 minutes. Whereas Bansko, everything is up the gondola. It's all very high. So if people aren't skiing, if they're back at the hotel, they're not close by. It's a much bigger, vaster setup. But if you're
an advanced skier, a more experienced skier, as much as I hate to say it, Bansko is considerably better. It's more challenging for advanced skiers. For just learners, for beginners, I don't mean just in a negative way, but for beginners, Borovets is great.
So the big thing I think a lot of people I ever talk to say about Bansko, the concern is the lifts, the first lift up.
Yeah, nightmare.
But I mean, if you're Mo, you can just wait until about 10:30, 11 o'clock before you go up on your first lift.
11 o'clock, got it this morning.
And how was it? How was it? We did see you sitting there outside waiting for the first. Was that yesterday?
Yeah, massive queue all the way down the road. Although I'm British, I don't like standing in queues. I'd rather be sat in a cafe, devouring a club sandwich and drinking a coffee. And then about 10 to 11, queue got up to where we were, jumped on. 10 minutes later, we're on the gondola, which was fine.
Right. So when you got up there, what did I see? Were you eating at the White House, or where were you?
No, Bonkers yesterday.
Right, Bonkers, yeah.
And before the snow came, I conquered Marquee 2B.
So there's two up there. That's the red one, I think you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. And what did you think?
Terrible. It was an awful condition. There was grass poking through it. There was rocks and lumps and bumps. It was like a mogul run, but I was pleased to get down it in one piece. There was a lot of people that weren't getting down it in one piece. And that was all due to having a really good instructor with me and a good guide from the Anna Kiev ski school. So Pete was an English-speaking instructor, really, really good, and took us down. And he also took me down Jastabets 3 for the first time as well. So I'm really pleased about that.
I've worked out where the sound is the issue. It's Glyn, so I'm having to mute Glyn and put him back on again. Glyn, while I've got you unmuted, what's your view? What's your favourite runs up there at the top?
I just like any of them that haven't been bashed, to be honest. When there's fresh snow, keep them piece bashes away from my snow and I'm happy. As long as they're not flat. That run coming back from George's is horrible.
I don't know. I've never made it to George's.
Have you not?
No,
because it's a great experience. George's place is just phenomenal. The first time I went there was a great group of us, about 30 people went on the last day that we were all on holiday. We'd all had a couple of beers, dinner time. Then somebody suggested we went up to George's. My wife had just ordered a pizza. It had just come to the table and we were all heading off. So she got it put in a box, stuffed it in a coat, and we all went up to George's. And it was a phenomenal day. Just as we all sat down on the logs that are outside that are all cut from the forest, it started snowing as well. It just totally finished the holiday off perfecto. It was phenomenal. But yeah, going to George's, you go up the Reel of Foreman. No, not the Reel of Foreman.
No,
sorry, the Foreman. You get up the top there, and then you kind of go to the left, and then right, and then left again, and then George's is on the right as you're going down. It's you might have seen the photos and videos of people going there. It's just brilliant. He's got fire. He's cooks sausages, meat, onions, mushrooms, and his beers there. Nothing has to be chilled from the fridge, obviously, because it's all freshly chilled, naturally. But apparently the women and other people say he does the best hot wine.
Mo, Steve, have either of you been there?
No.
Where are we talking about, to be honest? Because I can't hear anything Glyn's saying. And that's not his accent. I just can't.
No, it's all right. It's okay. It is Glyn. I'm muting and putting it back. So he's talking about George's. George's, you go up the four-man, the name's gone out of my mind, the other lift. That one. Someone's going to tell me off in a minute.
That way.
Is that way? That's it. You go up there, and then there's the Royal Green pathway, which is a pathway which I've never used on a snowboard because everybody said don't go down it, don't go down it, and I think even Glyn
you
said
go down it, you go up it more than down it.
Well, apparently you end up having to walk, which is fine for people carrying twigs, but not for the rest of us. But I think I've got I think Pete's a fan of it. Sinyakov. Thank you guys. Sorry, Sinyakov. You ask the question and then you get the answers.
Pete with his rack here. That was my instructor, Pete. Yeah, I mean, I've been past it a few times. I've heard rave reviews about it. Everybody seems to love it. It's earthy. It's great. I can't see any reason not to stop there, other than it's not my preferred ski route.
Got it. So coming back to Glyn, you were talking about your boarding and you've been out for a number of years and you prefer the different runs on there. Are you up to? Do you normally get all the way across over to Marketute number 3 and that area?
I've also said this later. I've never been on Marquee 3. I've never gotten across there. I've never done it. But this year, as long as the snow is good, I will be there. I will be there for sure.
So, as Pete says, trying to get the Royal Pathway on the green is no good on a snowboard.
It's horrible.
I think, as I put up in one of the talks before, I did Marketute number 3 this year on the lift. That button lift is, if you can do the button lift, you deserve the run that you get at the end of it. It is horrible. Steve's nodding his head. That means, Steve, is it a run you've done?
I have done it, but as you say, the lift is enough to deter you to do it. It's a hideous lift. I'd rather not.
We were looking at it. We came up the top of Marketute number 2, the chairlift, and you look to your left and you go, if they could just put a little button lift up from there to the top, rather than having to go all the way down and back again. Oh my God, it will make life easier.
Someone mentioned the other day that I've got quite a deep voice, and I said the reason was because I've never actually been on that lift.
I tell you, I'm still sitting here thinking I can feel it, and I feel it. It's like memory loss or memory manage of you've got it there, and it's like, oh, what a horrible. So, we were talking about this yesterday. You were saying that a lot of the runs weren't open. It was getting really horrible. I'm just going to have a quick update and look at what runs are open here, and maybe you can just talk us through it. So, it looks that we've got most of the runs open here now.
I can't see any problems with that at all. In fact, we're going to do the Masala Pathway tomorrow because I'm 100% positive that that's fine as well.
I'm just going to come down to that. It says it's closed, but I think you're probably right that by tomorrow, with the snow that's coming, it's going to be open. Yeah. It's likely. The rest of it, Marketute number 2A, the Black Run. Steve, is that one that you've done in the past?
It is, yeah. I did them all. I think 2 years ago. I can't recall them all, but I went through them literally one by one and did them all. But that is our mission this time. When I'm out in half term with Victoria, we intend to do every single run, starting at that section and working our way back over to the other side.
What did it say for Yastrabets 3, Leo?
What did it say for Yastrabets number 3? We'll have a quick look
So
here.
let's keep Mo off.
Pete says Pete's game marquee lift is not as bad as it used to be. I tell you, when I did it the first time this year, Pete, they had not bashed the whole of the lift, and it was like holes in the middle of it. But after that, it was fine. Which run were you asking about, Moster?
Yastrabets 3.
Yastrabets number 3 open.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Sorry, yes, Yastrabets 1.
Yastrabets 1 says partly open. Normally, that means that the top end of it isn't open from past.
It was in bad shape yesterday.
Yeah,
bad shape. We skied across it to get to the mid station.
Yeah,
and but
yeah,
tomorrow could be a different story.
I have this good. We're getting some really good feedback here. That the pathway should be okay, and tomorrow it will be absolutely brilliant. You've got some great stuff coming up, Mo.
Some good comments there from Mitko at the bottom. I bumped into him today. Really good stuff. Nice guy. Knows his onions.
So we've had this discussion. Mo and I had this discussion last week. Steve, how many years have you been going to Borovets?
Only actually 3 years, Borovets.
Glyn, how many?
I've been, I think, 8 or 9 times. The first time we went was 2004, and then 2005 as a family, and then went to other places, and then recently we've been back a few times, just the wife and myself with other friends. When we're loads to go, and we just call it the invasion, and that's what we all go similar time and meet up over there, and that's what makes it so good. It's so friendly.
So I've seen comments about the invasion. I don't know anything about the invasion. Can you give us what that means?
Can what? Sorry, Leo.
can you tell us about the invasion? Because I've seen comments on one of the
It's just everybody that has met up there previously and end up going back for the same time, the same week. There's like Invasion 1 or Invasion 2, all depending on when anybody can get out there, you know. But there's some people that are very greedy and go to all the invasions. And there's lots of people that go 2, 3, 4 times. Can't blame them. If they can get the time and they've got the money, then you go out and enjoy it.
So Mo, you and I were talking about this last time. How many times has it been that you've been out there?
5.
5 times. So I think I'm on my 8th or 9th time now. And you know, it's just something magical about the place. You know, and sitting there watching you, you know, we're all sitting there watching that snow behind you, Mo, coming down. I don't think Christmas ever ends now. I don't think they ever take that Christmas tree down. You know, it's just a great place. It feels like home, even though it's not home. Do you get that feeling?
I'll tell you why I keep coming. I first of all came out with my family, and they're not really skiers. But I really enjoyed myself, and I enjoyed everything that was out here. And I came a year later, or a couple of years later, with a ski boarder, with a snowboard, a friend of mine. And we did. That's when I started doing the blogs, and it was because we turned up and everyone was asking on the forum about the snow, and we were in Aldo, and it just started hammering down with snow. And I don't know why. I just picked up my phone, ran outside, and went, "It's snowing," and we were all dancing around, and like it was kind of magic to everyone's ears because that's all they ever want to know is it snowing. And I don't know. There's just something about this place. I've been coming so many times now. I first came out with a massive group of about 30 people who still come, and they come in the school holidays. So Julia, oh God, Steve and Nikki, there's just tons of them. I couldn't mention them all. They'll be back out in a couple of weeks. So it's nice for me to get out here in front of them and say, hey, look, this is happening. So it's good for that home kind of feeling. So I do feel kind of home ties to that. But now I'm turning up at resort and people are saying, you know, they'll get, hey, you know, I'm going to restaurants and stuff, and it's like high five. Hey, how you doing? You back again? Sit down. Usual stuff. You know, it's really nice.
And I think that's actually the point. And one of the things is that I know we're only our 3rd week in doing this. The plan is next week to hopefully have some people on who live out there, who've made the transition to move out there. So we're looking forward to that. You
definitely want to speak to Steve then from the Anakiev Ski School. He lives in a little village just outside Samakov, and he's been over here for a long time.
Because I think there's a lot of people that have made that move. I mean, Pete said that just earlier that he's moved out there with his guitar, which I think you doing that. You seeing him on Friday?
Yeah, I'm going to go and put up with him on Friday. All right, quick plug for Pete because he's been so good. In the Red Lion on Friday, Pete will be playing. He will be plonking his strings and twanging his tongs and belting out some tunes. So we're going to go and support him because he's a nice guy and we like him.
Steve, I've been watching. What he owes you, Steve. I've been watching a lot of your videos on the. You know, you've got a lot of the technology and the skis. You're a lot more proficient than I am on my board. You still find it challenging, obviously, going out there. But why, you know, in particular, are you seeing a lot of new technology that you've been using on your boards recently that you're enjoying?
I missed the first part of what you were saying, Leo. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's okay. It was a long-winded question, wasn't it? What I was going to say, you're reviewing a lot of the stuff, the technology stuff, Steve.
Yes, yeah.
I've noticed it recently on your Ski Shack stuff. Can you just talk us through what you've been doing on there?
Yeah, I've been in the last week. I've reviewed 2 different pairs of skis. A lot of people might not realize just how different skis can be, and the different jobs skis do. The orange ones behind me were horrific. There you go, those ones. Fantastic skis if you're going edge to edge, carving hard, fast. But if you're just dawdling down the mountain, absolutely terrible. They're not designed for that. So we're just looking at the comparison between those normal pieced skis, but also heated gloves, heated socks, heated vests, just all the little comforts that might make skiing a bit more enjoyable. We're looking at those, comparing those, as well as the skis and bindings and things like that as well.
So the other thing we normally cover very quickly, just for those people who are coming out, is they talk about the exchange rates. So I just wanted to bring this up because this always comes up as a question. So at the moment, I'm looking at the Borovich exchange rate of 2.25. People are asking. If you want to know where that is, that's the Crown Exchange, which is next to the Green King pub. Not Green King. What's the pub called? It'll come to me in a minute.
John Smith.
John Smith.
John
Thank
Smith.
you. Yeah.
Just past Franco's.
It is John Smith. Between John Smith's and Franco's, there is that one, the Crown Exchange. There, it is cheaper or a better price than everywhere else, but it's not varying too much this year. The exchange rates are staying pretty similar to what they are every year, but it's always worth getting the right place, which normally leads us on to a most to top tip about something.
Yeah, most of the top tip. I've noticed this year that some of the prices in restaurants are a little bit higher than they have been. So it makes sense to shop around first, have a look around, and stick to the draft beer because the wine can be rather expensive.
So the wine can be expensive, yeah.
Yeah, we paid just over £15 for a bottle of Bulgarian wine last night, which the average price in the UK of that particular bottle, because I know it quite well, is about £6. So even with corkage and stuff in the UK, you're probably going to pay similar price to that. So about £12 to £15. So I thought that was rather high. So the top tip that I'm going to give everyone, which everyone always gives me when I come out here, spend a night in Samakov and have dinner down there.
So, Steve, I know that you are looking at Mo's picture. That's the hotel that you normally stay in, if I'm right, the Rila.
Yeah, I'm always a Rila man. Yeah.
Okay, where's your favourite place to eat?
Oh, blimey. Well, the trouble is with the Rila, and not so much the trouble, but the Rila's, it's food included. So we generally don't go out for dinner a great deal. We have been to the one opposite the Rila, right on the corner. Is it Black Tiger? Yep. Right on the corner. Had no kidding.
It's Papa Mia's.
Papa Mia's. That's it.
Yeah. In fact, if he turns the camera around, he could probably even show us all the camera stationary.
Over Mo's right shoulder. I had the world's biggest chicken kebab on a skewer. It was literally about 2 foot long. But on the whole, we are quite boring in that respect. We stick to the Rila. We paid for the food in the Rila, so we stay there.
Whereas I get everywhere.
Well, see, I'm not a party person. See, I like to be in bed by 9 o'clock. I'm not a big drinker. I ski hard and I'm knackered.
Yeah, I know exactly that.
Glenn, where's your favourite places to eat?
Same again, mate. We just go to hotels and everything's in with the food. But now and again, we do go out. We do keep promising we're going to go to Titanic and have one of its steaks. But we usually just go there and drink and have a good time. Because Titanic is a real good place to go. Very friendly. Nice big open fire, as most places are. But we have actually been down into Samakov once and had a great night down there. And boy, the prices are different.
I think that's a really interesting thing. I'm hoping that one of these weeks we're going to have Carol on. She lives down in Samakov, and some.
Saw Carol today.
Did you?
Yeah, in somewhere up there near the OTP bar. What's it called?
Which one?
Next to the OTP bar, coming down the slope.
Silver Fox.
That's the one. We were in there today.
Blimey, there's a car. Yeah, I should have a map of where everything is. Yeah, that's it.
Someone actually did put a request on the one of the Facebook pages of could we get a map and annotate where all the restaurants were and everything. So I think if someone can come up with a restaurant locale map as a ski guide for people like big groups that want to meet up, that would be a great idea. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, well. It all changes, but I think that's a good. I think that's a good call. I think Pete's saying it's the Silver Fix. I think it's the Fox, but I'm sure there's a reason why he's giving it that name. But I'm not going to get into that.
He's dyslexic.
It's dyslexic. Okay, so just the last thing on that then, Mo. The other places that you've eaten this week, or any new ones this week, and anything?
Yes, a couple of new places. One we've really enjoyed and we've been back to twice was the White Horse. Someone recommended it. Really, really good. That's the one with a rather expensive bottle of wine. Other than that, the food that you can get and the meats and everything, great. But best thing about the White Horse is the service is absolutely incredible, and they bend over backwards to look after you. And every night you pass it is always full, so that tells you something. And it's full of a lot of Bulgarian people as well, so that's always a good pointer. We tried the China Moon, and it was okay. It was okay. I gave it 7 out of 10. Found it a little bit expensive for what it was. But it was okay. But again, the service was second to none. They really bend over backwards to help you out there. But for my money this year, my top place to eat, and I'm going to go back there tonight, is Victoria's. And you can't fault it. The food's great.
Love it.
And I know people go, oh, God, Victoria's. It's a chain. It's consistent. I like it. And it's always less than 100 levs with a litre of wine included.
I've never actually eaten there. It was new a year and a half, 2 years ago. I mean, you are actually standing outside it at the moment by the looks of it.
It's the only place I could get some shelter, and I'm actually balancing my phone on their sign outside.
It's great, this, isn't it? It's absolutely great. So I
It's
mean,
snowing like crazy. I was getting a big lump on my head, and it's just
we can see the little snowman that's outside your house was looking very thin and wasted 2 days ago. I'm hoping he's
can't
gonna be
even
full.
see him now. We're having tree avalanches outside. There's so much snow on the trees that every so often they just drop everything, and it all leaves a big pile on the ground. It's absolutely fantabulous to watch.
So we've talked before, Mo, you normally take the EasyJet flights out there. That's the way you get there. Steve, you're a regular traveller to both Borovitz and Bansko. How do you normally fly out?
Normally Ryanair from Stansted. However, I'm going out with Ryanair week on Saturday, but I'm going out again in March, and it's Wizz Air from Luton to get the right timings for us. I've never tried Wizz Air before, but they're all Luton, to be fair. So, but we have no choice for March. We have to do that one.
So Luton, which is my closest airport, and I think probably one of the closest for Mo as well, is a cattle market. It's hard work. It's full.
No,
really?
sorry, I'm Gatwick, mate.
Are you Gatwick?
Oh, it's even
I'm
worse.
Gatwick through and through, sir.
Okay.
Oh yes.
It's madness. You end up in the different terminal, the number one terminal when you land when you land in Bulgaria. When you go there, it's all right. I've flown Wizz Air. It's not too bad. Glyn, where do you normally fly from?
Usually Manchester or Birmingham we've been from once, but we always book a package. Apart from once when we did everything separately, and we did save, but it wasn't a great lot. So it's just easy to book a package and usually book through Crystal.
And where do you normally stay?
We actually go different places every time, but we've been to Ice Angels, Yanakiev last year. We've been to I keep calling it Uncle Festa Winter Palace. We've been there 3 years ago, but we're staying there this year. There's quite a few of us going to be staying there this year as well. When we first went out, it was Samokov. But that was, like I say, that was a long time ago. That was 2004. Whether it's been upgraded and changed since then, I don't know.
I can answer that question absolutely 100%. The Samokov has not been upgraded since 2000.
Blankets.
I've stayed in the Samokov 4 or 5 times. It's all right. It's fine. I tell you what has been upgraded. They've just opened their bowling alley again. So anybody who's wants to do nighttime activities, they've got a really nice new bowling alley. They've also got pool tables and they've got a rifle range. But the bowling alley and the pool tables are great. They're really good to use. Right, I think we've covered lots and lots today, and it looks like Mo's either going to turn into a snowman or he's going to be getting his beer in. So I just wanted to wrap up and give everybody a couple of minutes. Sorry. Look at that. You can't really complain about the amount of snow that's out there for anybody that's coming out there. That is
just pretty good on the board right now.
That is going to be, yeah. That's it, isn't it? You just look at that, Glyn, don't you? You just go, I want my board on the bottom of my feet.
What you call champagne.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just going to quickly wrap this up. Thank you, everybody who's been watching. Just very quickly, Mo, where can people who are watching find you?
Well, I don't know if they're going to be able to find me, to be honest. but we're just going to go into Victoria's now. Obviously, Friday night we'll be in the Red Lion to support Pete. Tomorrow night, don't know yet, but we'll be out on the slopes tomorrow. If you're down on the gondola early doors, we'll be there catching the first one up because we're going to come down. I'm going to show Jason the Masala pathway because he's never seen it. So we're going to do that.
Steve, where can people find you online?
My reviews is on Instagram, Ski Shack Reviews, all one word, and on Facebook it's Ski Shack Reviews, and the YouTube channel is the same. If you just go to YouTube and hit Ski Shack Reviews and subscribe and like it, that's great. Or my personal Instagram is Steve Bradley 999.
And Glyn, when are you out next? When can people see you out there?
29th of February.
So when about in February?
Looking forward to it. Sorry?
When in February?
29th of February.
So is that after half term?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
Brilliant. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you for all the comments. Pete says that he's going to be, we have to plug Pete very quickly. He's going to be Friday and Saturday night in the Red Lion, 8 to 11. So how many levs does he owe you for all of this now?
That's 100 now. There's 2
Is that
nights.
100? There you go. So was there some sort of bet on that?
That's probably more than he gets paid for the night, to be fair.
Guys, thank you so much. This is myself and Mo doing this. Let's Talk Borovitz. There's lots of other Borovitz groups out there on Facebook for you to continue the conversations. We really appreciate anybody's comments, feedback, and would love you, other people who are either out there or people who are going out or people who live out there, to come on and tell us their story and why they love Borovitz. So thanks again. Thank you for everybody who's been on today, and we'll all wave goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you later, guys.